Hello and welcome to a BIM-interesting video. Today we are going to look at the BIM standards we have today and also look back on what came before that and how the current ISO 19650 standard came about. So we'll start off with a standard that predates that. We are going to go back to 2007 and look at the UK BS 1192. So this kind of initial standard created in the UK really touches on two main ideas. And the first one is the Common Data Environment, known as the CDE, which essentially is this idea of having a common place where different teams would store their information, be it drawings, documents, PDFs, into one location, so everyone can refer back to that one known location. So this CDE kind of idea or concept was very successful, and from that we built on top of that other ideas like the four buckets of information within the CDE, known as the WIP, which is the work in progress, okay, and then the shared area for sharing files incoming and outgoing. We also have the published area where we store ideas or kind of documents which are fixed. So this could be for construction sets of drawings, or for as-built drawings would be saved in published. And then also another kind of area which is archived. Okay, so with the CDE we then have four buckets of sections to store different files: WIP, shared, publish, and archive. That workflow. Another core idea from the 1192 2007 is this idea of file naming. So the long BIM file name that you see today was derived from that standard, and from that kind of methodology of naming a file, it's based on this criteria of having 8 parts to that file name. So that 8-part file name could be something like, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dash ABC dash XX dash ZZ dash 01 dash BCA dash 0001 is that kind of file name that was stipulated in the standard, which helps us have a common criteria when it comes to naming files and documents. Okay, so that's all derived from the BS 1192 back in 2007. So moving on from that, the UK then expanded the standardization process into other areas, and they published the PAS 1192 suite, which was around the early 2010s. And during this type of kind of time period, this is where the BIM level 2 started to gain traction. And during this time, these kind of documents, this suite of documents, focused around two different areas, which is the CapEx phase, which concerns design and construction, and most notably kind of describes the process of creating a BIM execution plan, which is this plan that creates a structure for how to carry out design, what team members are involved, who does what, and where the responsibilities lie in one single document known as the BIM execution plan, or the BEP. And then we also had another kind of document, the PAS 1192-3, which focuses on the OPEX phase, which is the operational and maintenance phase of the building cycle. And in this document, it stipulates how we should plan to operate the building after it's built. So how do we manage the facility? So there are different elements, such as transferring the data from the data from a design type of data, and structuring that into something that is readable, and accessible for the facilities management. So you can see from these like two different standards, we've moved from how we organize our data to get the building built into something that is more concrete now, to how we plan for our different teams to create buildings, manage the whole construction process, into a stage where we're now thinking about how do we design for operating this building after we've built it. Okay, so this was all done from the 2007 to the early 10s from the UK. So what happened next was, across the pond, the US had their own different ideas of BIM standards. So after seeing what the UK put out with the BS 1192 and the PAS 1192, the US then had a different but more flexible approach on BIM. And the key player was the National BIM Standard, which is the NBIMS. Okay, so it's not one rigid document, but it's a framework that bundled together other useful standards. And what came out of that was the COBE standard. Okay, and the COBE, for those who are familiar with creating COBE spreadsheets, it's the idea of handing over asset data from construction to the facilities manager. And also, parallel to that is the Omniclass, which is the idea of classifying the building elements into fixed codes, so we can use codes to assign different building elements and kind of capture that inside a BIM model or COBE data or any other forms of BIM kind of documents. So from then, what happened was that in the late kind of 2010s era, we had a number of proven and powerful standards from both the UK and the US, and then it became a logical step to unify all these standards together and create one international rulebook. And that's what led to the ISO 19650. So all of the past documents on naming standards, on common data environments, on facilities management, and also the BIM execution plan is all kind of distilled into what we have today. And with the ISO 19650, you can see kind of elements of that, okay, because you have different parts dedicated to different areas, whether it be facilities management or for sections detailing how file naming should be done.